Everybody, we are here. We are live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you can see and hear me clearly, please drop a one in the live chat, and then we can get today's stream started. And as I'm waiting for the ones to come into the live chat, as usual, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does is that it helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you're one of those pesky ghost watchers who always gets my video feeds on their YouTube homepage, you always watch the videos, but you don't subscribe, please do me a favor and yourself a favor and subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're a ghost watcher, come on, man, stop playing with me. Hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms as well. Get this news and information out to your family and friends. And yes, that does also help me get a small boost in the YouTube algorithm also. And lastly, follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below. It will be pinned in the comment section after the stream is over. And if I remembered, hopefully it should be pinned in the live chat right now if you're watching this live. And with the intro out of the way, right? Let's get into today's show. The title of today's show is Maxine Waters demands Biden's DOJ to investigate Trump and his supporters before it's too late. He needs to investigate them before it's too late. Because, at that point, what happens if it's too late? I think we all know what happens if it's too late. What happens is that we're all going to get put back in chains.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Particularly if you ask Maxine Waters, Black Americans. If Trump gets back in office,
they're going to put you all back in chains.
It's over for us. Back on the auction block we go.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
So we got to vote blue no matter who, because if not,
they're going to put you all back in chains.
They're going to put us back in chains. They're going to put us back in chains. Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene are going to put us back in chains. Now, the reason I titled this show this today is because really tonight's stream is a complimentary stream to the video that I released earlier this morning or this afternoon, depending on, the time zone that you're in the United States. When I released this video here, as you can see, the thumbnail title is just Race War is Coming. But a few days ago, Bill Maher on his show stated that if Donald Trump goes to jail for the hush money trial, if he goes to jail, that's going to lead to a civil war, and a civil war in the United States would be a race war. So apparently Donald Trump going to jail is going to lead to a race war. Why that would happen, it did the logic behind it. It just doesn't make sense. None of what he was saying made sense. I'm not going to go too deep into my observation of that and my thoughts on that. I would suggest you listen to that video or go watch it after the stream is over. But today's stream is a complimentary stream based on that, right? Because I want to carry on with this discussion of extreme fear-mongering that's been going on with the Democratic Party as it pertains to them just simply not having an answer to the Black vote that seemingly isn't as strong as it used to be, right? They're anticipating somewhat of a low turnout. The messaging isn't coming across to Black Americans as it pertains to the, you could say, normal fear-mongering concerning racism, white supremacy. So now it's taken a more extreme step where it's gone beyond just the simple discussion surrounding voter suppression and things of that nature. Now, what we have to worry about is a civil war breaking out in which Trump and his supporters, who are extremists that are essentially or apparently, according to Maxine Waters, training in the hills right now, they're training in the hills to descend upon the communities of color, according to Maxine Waters, and to delete us all if Trump loses. This is the current rhetoric. Now, this has escalated over time. with Maxine Waters, and I really wanted to take today's show to kind of chronicle that escalation over time. Now, I believe that everyone in office, right? Everyone in Congress and even those in the Senate, not everyone, but those who have a prominent role and a prominent voice, like Maxine Waters, they all have a role in a specific job that they play, right? And with Maxine Waters, it appears that her job and her role is to consistently go on this MSNBC show hosted by an individual named Jonathan Capehart. And we're going to see that pattern of her constantly being on his show. And the purpose of her going on that show is simply for her to fan the flames of insanity surrounding Donald Trump. That's what she goes on there to do. She fans the flames of insanity around him. I want to play this clip first. From March 2023. And I want you to listen to what she says as she starts discussing Trump and how he said that I'm going to turn myself in on Tuesday, or I'm going to be arrested on Tuesday, for the hush money trial, right? This was last year when he was first announcing that he was going to be arrested and things of that nature. And I just want you to listen to how she chose to articulate what was getting ready to happen concerning Trump and the hush money trial and him being arrested and indicted. Once again, her role on this show is to fan the flames of insanity. And that's what she consistently does. And this is kind of the beginning of that right here. Let's pull this up right now on the screen.
I have to start with you. You had been warning everybody since the beginning of the Trump.
Oh, and also just a quick disclaimer. Everybody's not going to catch it, obviously, because this is a live. But the word domestic, the phrase that I'm going to use for this live stream is domestic aggressor. Domestic aggressor. That's not the word that she says. She says domestic, terrorist, right? Domestic T. But I have it bleeped out in the video. I know that kind of self-censorship is annoying at times on YouTube, but it is what it is.
Waters, I have to start with you. You had been warning everybody since the beginning of the Trump presidency about who he is. Your reaction to the breaking news this morning from the former president, who says on his own social media platform that he will be arrested. He says this on Tuesday.
Well, let me just say this, Jonathan. Constantly, as I travel around the country, people are asking me, when is he going to be arrested and indicted? Is he above the law? Hasn't he done enough so that the American people can have faith and confidence that the law applies to him also? Yes,
Is the law going to apply to Hunter Biden? That's what I'm trying to find out. I want to know if the law is going to apply to Hunter Biden and if he's going to go to jail on those 3 federal gun charges, as he should. Now, if this was during the Crime Bill Joe era, and I got hit with 3 gun charges, we know what Crime Bill Joe would have done with me. So I'm trying to figure out, will justice prevail when it comes to Hunter Biden?
I started very early warning the American public about this president. I have never seen, most people have never seen or believed what we would have a president who has acted in the way that he has, who has disrespected the Constitution of the United States of America, who has lied, who has tried to organize domestic. And some believe that he did organize them as they attacked our Capitol on January 6th.
So he organized domestic aggressors, as I'll say, on J6. That's what he organized, domestic aggressors. She's going to carry on with this within the next 30 seconds of her speaking in this segment. But the reality is that that's fake news. That's misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, this dangerous rhetoric. Because the reality is that, he probably can sue her for, what is it called? Is it character assassination? Is that what I'm looking for? The word that I'm looking for that you can sue people on? You know, defamation of character, defamation of character. He could probably sue her on defamation of character if he wanted to. I don't believe that he would ever do that, because for as petty as Trump is, I don't think he's that petty to waste his time with something like that. But what she's saying is literally not true, but she's allowed to regurgitate that over and over again. Yet if people like you and me tell a basic truth, like 1 + 1 = 2, well, that's dangerous rhetoric, and we're going to have to demonetize your video, right?
President has conducted himself in a way that he does not deserve not to be arrested. He should be arrested. He should be indicted. And the charges that he's been indicted on are minimal as opposed to the charges that I believe he could have been indicted on. I don't know what's going to happen. When he announces himself, it's almost like he's attempting to organize his domestic to show up and to resist him being arrested.
All he did was announce the fact that he was going to be arrested and indicted on those hush money charges. And what you see is that any and everything that comes out of his mouth, like I said, her job is to show up on this man's show. His name is Jonathan Capehart on MSNBC. And I keep saying this, her job is to fan the flames of insanity surrounding Donald Trump. She keeps saying that he's organizing domestic aggressors, as I like to say, right, in my self-censorship mode. He's organizing domestic aggressors. And even if he makes a simple statement such as, yeah, looks like I'm going to be arrested in a couple of days and they're going to indict me. Well, that must be you organizing domestic aggressors. Yeah, so no, it doesn't matter what the man says. He's organizing domestic aggressors, right? I'm headed over to Wendy's. It sounds like you're organizing domestic aggressors to meet you at the Wendy's to overthrow the manager and take that Wendy's over. That's what it sounds like. This is the logic of Maxine Waters. That's her logic. And you see that, once again, this was March of last year when this occurred. By the top of this year, that type of rhetoric started to spread like wildfire, particularly with guys like Charlemagne the God, Stephen A. Smith, Charles Barkley. Every time these guys got on television or, put a video out on YouTube speaking on politics, they would refer to or their fear of Donald Trump starting some sort of civil war if he gets into office. And one of the things that I stated in the video that I released this morning, if you notice, concerning spreading the flames of insanity, right? It doesn't matter if he loses the election. It doesn't matter if he wins the election. It doesn't matter if he goes to jail. All options lead apparently to civil war. And what we're going to see happen is that as this rhetoric progresses, it not just leads to civil war, but it leads to communities of color, specifically Black communities. When you're talking about people like Maxine Waters, it leads to you somehow getting deleted. Either way it goes. So let me pull this up next. I want to pull up this old Stephen A. Smith clip from February of this year, when he started talking that talk as well, because this was really the first time that I heard him say this, and he began to repeat this civil war talk over and over and over again afterwards. Let me pull this up right now.
And Breitbart News, all right, because we want to give them some shine, right? I mean, we want to give them some pub, right? Breitbart News, that's their Twitter handle, had a caption: Stephen A. Smith is waking up big time. And it is a picture of Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, with his red tie, with his thumbs up. And that's what they're saying, that I'm getting it. I'm figuring it out, I guess. And then when you press onto the link, it highlights ESPN Stephen A. Smith furious at Biden, believes Trump is on the verge of getting reelected, as you can see with the caption that I had put up there. Look, y'all. I want to make sure that I'm clear. Donald Trump is not getting my vote. I also want to make this clear. It has nothing to do with liberalism or, conservatism. It has nothing to do with being a Republican or a Democrat, because I don't like either side particularly that much.
Liar. You're a Democrat. Stephen A. Smith, like many other, black celebrities that like to talk politics, like Charlemagne, they false flag being independents when they're actually Democrats. They always vote Democrat year in and year out. And that's fine if that's what you do, I guess, but just stand on that. I think it's really weak when people keep lying like that.
It has everything to do with what I believe the leadership of this position, of the leadership of the free world should entail. I believe the presidency of the United States is a statesmanship position. You should be about galvanizing and bringing folks together. And I firmly believe that Donald Trump being the next president of the United States would cause civil war in this country.
This is a grown man that's like almost in his 60s, if he's not in his 60s, talking about, I'm in fear that Donald Trump is going to start a civil war in this country.
I believe the presidency of the United States is a statesmanship position. You should be about galvanizing and bringing folks together. And I firmly believe that Donald Trump being the next president of the United States would cause civil war in this country. That's my fear.
Bro, you're 60 something years old. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself articulating something like that to the people, right? But once again, this is what we see the new rhetoric is to galvanize black voters to vote Biden. It's this extreme fear of civil war that we're going to see now that when we get back to Maxine Waters, who took it to the next level in June of this year, or I should say she took it to the next level in May of this year when she went back on Jonathan Capehart's show. She took it to the next level by saying now it's not just going to be civil war. No. Forget about all that. Donald Trump and his supporters of extremists are training to attack you. They're training to attack you if he doesn't win. They're training to attack you. Now, before we get into that video, and that is a video that we've all seen, I do want to take a moment to give my thank yous. I'm going to give my thank yous to those who have supported the channel. Thank you very much, Black Free Thinker for becoming a channel member. I appreciate you, Black Free Thinker. Thank you very much. College of Natural Science, BDA College of Natural Science says, me and my black dog are now joined by my black to unsubscribe but remain channel members just to teach your late AI but a lesson. It looks like you were doing speech to text a little bit. You must be driving and you're doing speech to text. But I get what you're saying. I was late today, so you're going to subscribe, but you're going to keep your channel membership. I appreciate you looking out for me, College of Natural Health and Sciences. I appreciate that and all the support that you show me on this channel. I want to get through a couple of other super chats, and then we're going to get back into the discussion. College of Natural Science spun the block and came back and said, to be clear, my black dog and black cat, just to be clear. I appreciate you. I think we have one more, and then we're going to get back into Maxine Waters. Shout out to my man John Gullery. I appreciate you, John Gullery. He says, salute TD. Had to stand on business and put in my donations, gifts. Shout out to Dr. Fumar Johnson. I appreciate you, John Gullery, for always coming through as you do. Now let's get into the next Maxine Waters clip. I want to get into the next Maxine Waters clip right now to get things rolling on the second half of the show. Because like I said, at this point, this is where she begins to escalate the rhetoric. It goes from Donald Trump is organizing domestic organizers, and he organized those domestic organizers to overthrow the Capitol on J6. It went from that to there's going to be civil war if Trump gets in office, or if he doesn't get in office, there's still going to be a civil war. And then it goes from there's going to be a civil war to now his supporters are training in the mountains and the hills of Chicago to come down and attack you, black people, in case he loses. Let's get into that right now.
Congressman Robert Garcia of California, member of the House Oversight Committee and the Homeland Security Committee, and Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California, ranking member of the Financial Services Committee. Thank you both very much for coming back to the Sunday Show. This is a question for each.
And the one thing that I want to continue to reiterate are the patterns. Look at how she only comes on this man's show on MSNBC to do this. This is why I said at the top of the stream, this is her assignment. This is her assignment. This is what she's been told to do. Your assignment is to fan the flames of insanity by coming on MSNBC and getting on John Capehart's show every couple of Sundays and spew this nonsensical idea that Trump and his supporters are coming to get black folks if he loses the election, or even if he wins, or if he goes to jail. Because no matter how you slice it, apparently everybody's coming to get you.
Of you. And Congressman Garcia, since you are not here at the table, I'll go to you first. Trump told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, quote, "If everything's honest, I'd gladly accept the results. If it's not, you have to fight for the right of the country." Why should we take this threat seriously? Congresswoman Waters, your reaction to Trump saying, if everything's honest, everything's above board, to his point of view, he'll gladly accept the results of the country, but if not...
Look at how he leads her into it. And that's my point. Like, when I say that this is her assignment, he leads her into it. They all understand what their assignment is.
Your reaction to Trump saying, if everything's honest, everything's above board, to his point of view, he'll gladly accept the results of the country, but if not...
Well, first of all, you can't trust anything that Donald Trump has to say. No matter if he loses, he's going to say that it was fraud. He still has not accepted what happened in the last presidential election. And so we have to be very concerned about a former president of the United States talking about attacking his own country, talking about perhaps...
He's never talked about attacking his own country. She's literally lying.
A bloodbath, talking about perhaps there's going to be trouble. He said it in so many different ways. We should take him seriously. This man does not believe in the Constitution. He wants to be a dictator. This is a dangerous human being. And we have to know what our country is going to do to protect us from him.
Well,
yes.
No, yeah. I know you can keep going for this whole hour, Congresswoman, on that. But speaking of the Constitution, Trump says in that time interview that he would not seek to overturn or ignore the Constitution's prohibition on a third term.
So once again, he made his statement in a Time magazine article. He said, I'm not looking to overthrow anything. I'm not looking for a third term. I told you that I'm going to follow the law and abide by the law and the rules of the land that have existed concerning the presidency and term limits for however many years that it has. Does that matter? No, that doesn't matter, because Maxine Waters is just going to turn this into more fear-mongering nonsense.
From him.
Well,
yes.
No, I know you can keep going or ignore the Constitution's prohibition.
As I said, you can't believe anything.
Okay, my apologies for that.
So the American people believe that. Do you believe that?
No, absolutely not. As I said, you can't believe anything that Donald Trump has to say. Donald Trump will do any and everything that he can possibly get away with. He does not.
She can't believe anything Donald Trump has to say, but she can believe anything that Joe Biden said after he lied to the country for 3 going on 4 years, saying there was nothing he can do by way of executive action to close the border and to slow down the tide of illegal immigration that he unleashed on the population. But then just 2 days ago, he signed an executive order that he said he couldn't sign to do just that. But yeah, we can't believe anything Trump says, but we can believe everything Joe Biden says.
Not at all support the Constitution of the United States of America. This is a man who we'd better be careful about. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the Justice Department and I'm going to ask the president to tell us what they're going to do to protect this country against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with who are training up in the hills somewhere.
They're training up in the hills of New York City, training up in the hills of Chicago. Are there hills in Atlanta? They're training up in the hills of Atlanta. They're training in the hills everywhere.
what they're going to do to protect this country against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack. We need to know now, given that he's telling us that there's going to be violence if he loses. We need to know what his plan is and how we're going to be protected.
Donald Trump told Time that he intends to pursue policies that would address what he calls a, quote, definite anti-white feeling in this country. And he says it's a feeling that, quote, can't be allowed. Given the attacks on affirmative action, DEI initiatives, and the grab bag of grievance that critical race theory has become, will that reverse racism narrative work with the...
It's amazing how on that side, people like Maxine Waters will literally ignore and deny, literally speaking, 40 plus years of legislative racism that came from Joe Biden. They just ignore that. They literally ignore the fact that all of his mentors while in the Senate were literally former Klansmen and segregationists. I believe the man's name was Robert Byrd or John Byrd. I believe it was Robert Byrd. And the last name wasn't spelled Byrd like B-I-R-D, but it was in one of those weird ways like B-Y-R-D or something like that. I believe he was the former Klansman that he eulogized, if I remember correctly, because I did a video about it years ago. And in that eulogy for the former Klansman, he literally looked up to the sky and said, "My leader." He referred to a former Klansman as his leader, looked up to the sky and said, "My leader." But that's dismissed. I can't even begin to imagine. Okay, it's Robert Byrd. I see you guys saying Robert Byrd. Yep, Robert Byrd was his name. I can't even begin to imagine if some former Klansman or anybody who was considered racist passed away and Trump looked into the sky at their eulogy and said, "My leader." I can't even begin to imagine the wailing and gnashing of teeth that would come from the side of the DNC. But when it's Biden, it's completely ignored and completely dismissed as if it's something that did not happen, as if he does not literally have a 40-year track record of this stuff.
American people at the ballot box in November.
One of the things we better know is we cannot chance that it won't work. We know that there are people who are aligned with him, who follow him, who are already practicing what their government is going to be under Trump. Not only are they planning on a civil war if they have to do that, but he's spelling it out specifically how and what they're going to do and how he's going to get revenge, how he's going to attack his enemies, all of these things. And when he talks about race, we know, and I'm going to tell you again today, Donald Trump is a pure racist. And I am worried that the attack is going to be on people of color.
We're going to have to leave this part of the, just when it was getting hot, we're going to have to leave it here.
Just when it was getting hot. Yeah, just when it was getting hot. So apparently there's going to be civil war, and that civil war is going to turn into a race war, just like Bill Maher stated. And Donald Trump and his henchmen in the hills are going to descend down from the hills of Chicago and attack Black communities across the nation. As she ends that segment that's supposed to be so serious and so dire with a huge, big, goofy smile. Look, everybody's smiling. That's what lets you know that what she's saying is a lie and it's foolishness. And she's like, "Ha ha, we did it again. We'll talk that foolishness to them again, and they're going to eat it up." He's going to descend down from the hills, and they're going to delete all the Black folks in the Black community. And they end that segment that's supposed to be extremely serious with huge smiles on their face. I don't think that any of us would be smiling like this if those allegations were true indeed. Clearly, the smiles on all three of their faces after an allegation like that signals that everything that came out of her mouth was a lie. That's what that tells you. It tells you that everything that came out of her mouth was a complete, bold-faced lie. Because how do you smile like this afterwards? Literally all of them. They're like, ha ha, that's great. Cut. All right. Well, I'll catch you in about 2 Sundays from now so you can do it again. And that's what she did. She ran it back. I think it was this past Sunday. She ran it back this past Sunday on the same network, MSNBC, on the same show, Jonathan Capehart's show, fanning the same flames of insanity, talking that foolishness again concerning civil wars, race wars, and we need to have Biden's DOJ investigate Trump and his supporters because we just don't know what they're going to do. She literally just did this, was it, about 3 days ago.
Going to spend some time with.
Let me rewind it back just a little bit in closing. Mouth wide open, just. Oh, Lord.
I am going to spend some time with the criminal justice system, with the justice system, asking them, tell us what's going on with the domestic terrorists. Are they preparing a civil war against us? Should we be concerned about our safety? What is he doing with this divisive language? It is dangerous, and we're going to have to make sure that we understand that we're not at risk with this man talking in the way that he's doing.
So that was her this past Sunday, once again spewing the same nonsense, this time with Al Sharpton on the show. And I didn't want to waste time playing anything that Al Sharpton had to say because he's a clown, and he just wasn't really worth the time, at least not on today's stream. But as you can see, even as recent as this past Sunday, she was saying the same things. She keeps doing that on the same channel, on the same show, because that's her assignment to do that. And we see that once she does this, that then seemingly gives a green light to everybody else to participate in this as well, those who are voting for Biden. In closing, I think I'll just play the Bill Maher clip that I had in this morning's video, in case you missed it. Let me pull that up for you guys right now.
Really be shocked if this judge gave him a prison sentence for this.
I mean, MAGA Nation will go nuts. I don't know if that's a reason to or not to do something, but they will. But if they put him in jail, I know it'll happen because the judge's name was Juan.
Yes.
Everything becomes racial in this country. That's partly because of our horrible, despicable racial past, partly because some of that racism lives on in the president, and some of it because the far left makes everything racial. But that's what it's going to be. A civil war in this country.
Look at somebody on the far left who's claiming that they all make everything racial while making the most nonsensical thing racial. Don't they call that the pot calling the kettle black or something silly like that?
But if they put him in jail, I know it'll happen because the judge's name was Juan.
There's going to be a race war because the judge's name is Juan.
Yes.
Everything becomes racial in this country. That's partly because of our horrible, despicable racial past, partly because some of that racism lives on in the president, and some of it because the far left makes everything racial.
You are on the far left, literally doing the exact thing that you say that they do while pretending that you're not.
But that's what it's going to be. A civil war in this country, I'm sorry to say, becomes a race war. That's the sad truth about this country. And
that's that Maxine Waters logic. Once Maxine lays it down on MSNBC, they all follow suit and repeat.
Civil war in this country, I'm sorry to say, becomes a race war. That's the sad truth about this country. And if they put him in jail, I mean, that's the first thing his supporters are going to say is, oh, that's what it is.
Well, that's the first thing
a black
he will
district attorney, all these people who are the district attorneys They're black. The judge was not white. This is what it is.
Like I said, I talked about that this morning, so I'm not going to dissect him and give you my thoughts on that any more than I already did. You can watch that video. It's on the homepage of the channel. But I'm going to leave it there. You know, once again, as I've stated over and over again, and I'll say it finally in closing, pay attention to the patterns. Pay attention to the patterns. Maxine Waters seemingly only does this on this one station, MSNBC, which is the biggest DNC station there is. They are unapologetically DNC. They're CNN and all those channels, they're all, you know, DNC news channels, but MSNBC takes the cake. She seemingly only goes on that station and only spews that rhetoric on Jonathan Capehart's show on Sundays. Once she begins to spew that type of rhetoric, that seemingly then starts to give a green light to everybody else who's in the DNC gang to follow suit and then spew that same rhetoric. It went from Trump being a domestic aggressor, even though I noticed that in that clip I played, I let it slip. But it went from him originally being a domestic aggressor, right, to him now having his domestic aggressors engage in a civil war that's going to descend onto the black community. If he indeed loses, you see Stephen A. Smith start echoing those same sentiments. She keeps doubling down on this idea that apparently there's going to be, you know, mass deletions of black folks in the black community if Trump wins, if he doesn't win, and apparently according to Bill Maher, if he goes to jail. So no matter how you cut it, we're finished. No matter how you cut it, we're done. But the point is that once she says it on that show, everyone else seemingly starts to follow suit and repeat as well. So I find it very interesting. And now that I've kind of noticed that kind of pattern, I'm going to be paying a little bit more attention to Maxine Waters, what she says, and the difference in how she articulates herself concerning Trump when she's on that man's show versus when she's not on his show. That's something that's going to be very interesting to pay attention to, that I'll be doing kind of myself on my part. But with all that being said, that does it for today's show. So I want to make sure that on the way out, I give my thank you to those who contributed to today's stream. Thank you very much, Inspired Truth Broadcast, who said, salute TD, just saw the notification. I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Shout out to, and I don't know why you guys can't see it here, but in the background portion of StreamYards, normally there's a list of contributors and it's not there, so I actually have to scroll down all these comments right now, but I don't want to leave anybody out. Shout out to my man Cutthroat Nash for always coming through. He said, what hills exactly are these people training in? I told you, Cutthroat, the hills of Chicago. You know that there were hills and mountains in Chicago? I'm from Chicago. I know that. Okay, there are hills and mountains in Chicago, and you know, Donald Trump's, you know, extremist organizations are in the hills of Chicago right now, hiding out, training, so that they can, you know, wage an attack on the south side of Chicago in case he loses, or they can wage an attack on the west side of Chicago if he ends up going to jail. Either way, we're finished. Okay, either way, we're getting attacked, and there's going to be mass casualties of us, apparently. Cutthroat Nash ran it back again. He said, the British are coming. The British are coming. The British are coming. Facts. The British are coming. They are coming, man. They coming. They're going to put us all back in chains too. And I think that might have done it. There are a lot of comments that I have to go through. I wish that function was functioning properly right now. Shout out to College of Natural Health and Sciences for running it back again. College of Natural Health and Science said, even my black hamster is gearing up for them chains. Any and everything black needs to prepare for those things. You got a black dog, a black cat, black hamster, black anything. Nothing black is safe if Donald Trump gets into office. Anything black, if you got a black car,
They're going to put you all back in chains.
They're putting it back in chains. Nothing black is safe if Donald Trump gets into office. It's crazy. Any and everything black needs to be on high alert, apparently, because, you know, if the first 4 years didn't say enough, then I don't know what will, right? Let me see if there's any more. Still scrolling, and I think we reached the end. I reached the end of the comment section. Thank you all for contributing to today's show. I appreciate your support. I don't exist without you guys. Please share this video out on your social media platforms. I'm brain farting right now. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Hit the like button on your way out. And I might catch you guys tomorrow evening. I might. I'm not sure yet. But if not, I'll definitely run it back on Friday. I'll see you guys later, man. Peace and have a great evening.